In 2006, a group of accomplished artists, dancers, and musicians came together in New York with a mission that would soon add an exciting new dimension to the world of the performing arts. Traditional Chinese culture that dates back some 5,000 years was on the brink of extinction. There were no guarantees that their mission to revive this rich cultural and spiritual heritage would succeed, but that didn't stop them from creating a phenomenal live stage production called Shen Yun, using the languages of dance and music that they spoke so well. Did they succeed in their mission? Well, let's look at some audience feedback footage and you can decide for yourselves.
I think it's absolutely fantastic.
I don't know how you would not enjoy this.
It's like a painting coming to life.
I laughed, I cried, I was so touched.
The scenes, the sets, the costumes.
The dancing, the choreographing, the music, everything was just spectacular.
There's no words for it.
It's just heavenly.
This was the best ever.
The dancers, your mouth just drops. You're like, wow, this is just beautiful to watch.
The technique is flawless. Really, it is.
The skill and the talent on the stage are jaw-dropping.
They perform in perfect unison. They're just stunning.
The actual ambiance of the background, there was always the beautiful landscape and it was so colorful.
I find the music amazing.
The orchestra, the instruments, it was really brilliant. So moving and so powerful and uplifting.
The idea of everybody coming from a celestial place. It's all beauty and truth and light. It's very emotional.
It gives me inspiration. True blessing to be here and witness it all.
If somebody wants to know about China, there's nothing better than seeing Shen Yun.
ShenYun is definitely something you cannot describe.
It's something you have to see to believe.
It's a must-see.
And I would recommend this to all my friends.
Don't wait. Get your tickets now.
There's no doubt that these artists who formed the Shen Yun Performing Arts Company built something amazing, and people around the world are coming to see it. The show started with just one company going on tour in 2008. Shen Yun now has 5 touring companies that perform in over 150 theaters around the world each season. This presentation will explore some of the highlights not only of Shen Yun, but also the magnificent culture that Shen Yun brings to life on stage. Let's begin with an overview of early Chinese history. The life of any civilization, such as China, has a visible and an invisible component. This belief can be found in an ancient Taoist saying from the I Ching, or Classic of Changes, written over 2,500 years ago. It goes like this: the invisible and intangible is the Tao, and the visible and tangible is just a container. When applying this saying to a culture like China, it means that all the material manifestations of that culture, the art, music, dancing, medicine, martial arts, and so forth, are merely vehicles or containers. But it's really the invisible and intangible soul or Tao of that culture that animates these containers, much like the soul animates the human body. So you really need both the containers and the Tao in order to fully experience genuine Chinese culture. The Chinese people have long believed that their magnificent culture is a gift from the heavens, and that divine beings, like those we will see in the next 3 slides, both guide and lead human society. This is Wang Di, the great Yellow Emperor, who is considered to be the father of Chinese civilization. He reigned from 2697 to 2597 BC during the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors period in early Chinese history. These sovereigns and emperors were considered to be god-kings or demigods. Wang Di brought civilization to the nomadic hunters in his tribe and taught them the Taoist principle of respecting the harmony between heaven and earth. It was said that he was taught by a Taoist deity called Guang Chengzi. A prolific inventor by nature, Wang Di gave the world the wheelbarrow, the chariot, the bow and arrow, the compass, early Chinese astronomy, and lots more. Many of these are still in use around the world today. Zhangjie, another god-king, was the official historian for the Great Yellow Emperor. If you are seeing 2 pairs of eyes in this slide, there's nothing wrong with your vision. Zhangjie was very observant, and legend says that he had 4 eyes. By closely observing many objects found in nature, such as the footprints of animals, astronomical phenomena, as well as human nature, he was inspired to invent Chinese characters. These characters are simple and concise ideograms or drawings and are the basis of an amazingly robust and creative language. Shen Yun was also considered to be a god king. His name translates to peasant god. In popular culture, Shen Yun was regarded as the father of Chinese medicine. Legend has it that he had a transparent body, allowing him to see the effects of various herbs on the human body. He is said to have discovered tea and the fact that tea acts as an antidote against the poisonous effects of some 70 different herbs. Shen Yun is credited with bringing agriculture, herbal medicine, and noonday marketing, which is like our farmers market of today, to his people. So we can see that Chinese culture was off to a good start with lots of divine assistance. As the culture of China developed, three very important belief systems took shape that would in fact become the bedrock of Chinese civilization. Taoist thought is as old as Chinese history itself, but it wasn't until 500 BC that the sage Lao Tzu systematized it in his book, the Tao Te Ching. Taoist cultivation seeks the truth of life and the universe. Taoists believe that humans dropped down to earth from higher realms in the universe because they had become corrupted at higher levels. Through improving one's spirit, enduring hardships, and getting rid of all human attachments, one can return to one's true nature and true home or paradise. This is what is meant when one is said to have obtained the Tao or the Way. Also around 500 BC, Confucius was perhaps the teacher of all teachers in Chinese history. His teaching provided a framework of morality and upright behavior at all levels of society. He accepted students from anywhere and any family, as long as they were humble and diligent. He would tailor his teaching to each student according to their specific talents and shortcomings. He taught the 5 cardinal virtues of benevolence, justice, propriety, wisdom, and integrity. 500 years after Confucius, in the 1st century AD, Buddhism began spreading from India to China. Bodhidharma, the founder of Zen Buddhism, was one of the first Buddhist masters to arrive. He was a direct part of the Buddhist lineage and could trace his teachers back 28 generations, all the way to the founder, Buddha Sakyamuni. Buddhism stresses meditation, compassion for others, and salvation through giving up attachments and desires of the human world. Buddhism has undergone many changes since its inception in India over 2,500 years ago. All three of these belief systems coexisted in harmony in China, dynasty after dynasty. So, we have seen that China has deep spiritual roots and a solid background in the three major belief systems. All of this manifested itself in the concept and practice of self-cultivation, and this is truly what qualifies this ancient culture to pass on its timeless wisdom to our present-day society. Self-cultivation is a natural process of improving one's heart, mind, nature, or xingxing as it is called in Chinese. It's all about becoming a good person, honest, kind, compassionate, tolerant, and virtuous. From one aspect, self-cultivation is fairly simple and self-motivating. Simple in that one only has to look inside oneself to find one's shortcomings and attachments, and self-motivating in that one can directly experience the benefits of letting go of these shortcomings and attachments, benefits like feeling happier, more balanced, and enjoying peace of mind. And from another aspect, self-cultivation is also an arduous process that requires enduring hardships and tribulations. A good example of self-cultivation can be found in the story of Yang Zhen. He was a Chinese public official and a famous school teacher. One day, one of Yang Zhen's students came to him and offered him a bag full of gold. The teacher said, "How can I accept such an expensive gift from a student?" "Oh, it's okay," the student said. "No one has to know." Yang Zhen replied, "Heaven and earth know, you know, and I know." At this point, I think we are just about ready to move on stage with Shen Yun. Let's start with the dances of Shen Yun.
The training process for each dancer is extremely arduous.
There's morning practice, basic skills training, rehearsals. Every day you're dancing for at least 7 to 8 hours. Every day you get up early and go at it, day after day, year after year.
It takes 6 years of schooling just to be good enough to go on stage. After 10 years, you've completed training in college. It's a long process.
What could motivate these dancers to endure such arduous training? Perhaps they wish to excel in their chosen profession, or it may be a passion for expressing their deep feelings in an eloquent manner. As dancers in the amazing classical Chinese dancing music production called Shen Yun, they are intimately connected to the values and virtues of this 5,000-year-old culture that we have been talking about, and that connection involves self-cultivation. All the dancers in Shen Yun practice a form of self-cultivation called Falun Dafa that is based on the universal principles of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. It is precisely this process of self-refinement that sustains the countless hours of training, long days on tour, and hundreds of performances for these dancers. And there's a direct correlation between self-cultivation and what unfolds on stage. The name Shen Yun means the spirit or inner beauty of divine beings dancing. Shen can mean divine or heavenly, and Yun means bearing. This Yun or bearing is the essence or soul of the dance. It encompasses a lot of things such as personal aura, intent, breathing, cultural DNA, deep inner feelings. In other words, anything that a dancer wishes to express to the audience through movement. The stronger the self-cultivation, the stronger the Yun. And now you know one of the secrets behind the tremendous energy and stunning beauty of the show. Let's pause for a moment to examine why I mentioned in my opening that traditional Chinese culture was pushed to the brink of extinction. What was pushing it to the brink? When the Communist Party seized power in China in 1949, everything changed. In order to hold on to that power, the party launched several brutal campaigns, most notably the Cultural Revolution from 1966 to 1976. As a result of these movements, around 90% of China's temples and monasteries, along with countless precious antiques and relics, were completely destroyed. An estimated 80 million people died of unnatural causes. The party forced people to smash the four olds: old culture, old customs, old habits, and old ideas. All this tragic devastation was driven by the party's goal of replacing traditional culture and spirituality with the party culture, which is based on atheism, violence, and struggle. Struggle against heaven, struggle against the land, and struggle against man. We are now in the 21st century, but that doesn't mean the party's goals have changed. This is why, along with stories about ancient culture, Shen Yun puts the story of Falun Dafa on stage to remind us how the Chinese Communist regime continues to systematically destroy traditional Chinese culture and spirituality. Falun Dafa, also known as Falun Gong, is a spiritual and meditative self-cultivation practice based on the universal principles of truthfulness, compassion, forbearance. These principles reflect the true spirit and essence of traditional Chinese culture. Despite the brutal persecution of Falun Dafa on a genocidal scale since 1999, not a single Dafa practitioner has retaliated with violence. Shen Yun is trying to bring back ancient Chinese virtues and wisdom so that people can incorporate them into their daily lives. Falun Dafa is deeply rooted in this tradition, making it a perfect fit for a show like Shen Yun that is reviving the spirit and essence of Chinese culture. At the heart of Shen Yun are story-based dances, drawing upon countless stories and legends of historical figures and heroes, both human and divine. That's one of the benefits of having a very long cultural history. The idea of putting stories of man and heaven, good and evil, and right and wrong on stage is nothing new. The morality and mystery plays of medieval times, for example, were very popular with audiences. They reunited stories like the creation, Adam and Eve, the murder of Abel by his brother Cain, the Last Judgment, and so forth. The story-based dances of Shen Yun are authentic containers of China's rich heritage that are animated with the soul or Tao of that heritage. And so the story-based dances of Shen Yun are fully able to convey the beauty, wisdom, and virtues of traditional Chinese culture to its audiences. The stunning beauty and tremendous energy of the show uplifts and inspires audiences around the world. Each new season of Shen Yun is an ongoing telling of a magnificent story. This on-stage image is from the Shen Yun dance Mulan Joins a Battle. Mulan has become a Disney princess, but the true story of Mulan is not quite so romantic. 1,500 years ago, China was divided into two kingdoms. When the northern kingdom came under attack, the emperor ordered every family to supply an adult male to the army. The only adult male in Mulan's family was her elderly and ailing father. So she disguised herself as a young man and fought valiantly in the emperor's army for 12 years. Mulan became a celebrated general, and after a victorious ending to the war, the emperor wanted to reward her with the highest military post in the royal court. Mulan politely declined and returned home to take care of her elderly father. The emperor felt sad, and he prepared a very big gift, and he asked other generals to bring it to Mulan. When they knocked on the door of Mulan's home, to their surprise, it was not their colleague, the fearless warrior, that opened the door, but a beautiful young lady instead. This story illustrates two Chinese virtues. One is called zhong, or loyalty to one's country, and the other is shao, or filial piety, the respect and care for one's parents. So this story-based dance is a little different from the Disney version. Mulan didn't have a little dragon traveling with her, and she didn't fall in love with the general. Rather, she has been a role model for Chinese girls for the past 1,500 years. I don't want to reduce the wow factor or impact that Shen Yun can have on you by revealing too many details, but I would like to highlight the 4 key elements in every performance. Shen Yun features pure classical Chinese dance with a few ethnic and folk dances. Classical Chinese dance is the oldest and most comprehensive form of dance in the world today. Costumes with vivid colors and harmonic balance and contrast are a Shen Yun hallmark. Over 400 new sets of authentic costumes and accessories go on stage each year. Shen Yun's patented animated backdrops allow dancers to travel back and forth between the stage and the animated backdrop. These animated backdrops add an exciting dimension to the dances. The orchestra skillfully blends classical Western instruments with traditional Chinese instruments like the pipa or 4-string Chinese lute, the erhu or 2-string Chinese violin, and the sawona, a twin-reed woodwind instrument with a playful and distinctly Chinese sound. Each season, Shen Yun's composers write all original scores for all new dances. In every Shen Yun performance, these 4 elements are integrated and balanced to perfection. The result is out of this world. Now let's take a more comprehensive look at our Shen Yun dancers as they focus on what is an important part of their lives. In closing, it's hard to find the perfect word to describe a stage production that is so highly entertaining, family-friendly, universally appealing to audiences of all ages, educational, and fully capable of recharging the divine deep within all of us. But you don't need to know any special words to experience Shen Yun, and the show speaks for itself. Shen Yun spoke to me when I saw it debut in 2008 at the Boston Opera House. It still speaks to me, quite eloquently, 10 years later. I think you can understand why I feel that Shen Yun is a gift to the world. I wish everyone could experience the incomparable Shen Yun. You can do a little homework if you'd like by visiting shenyun.com, where a wealth of information about traditional Chinese culture and all things Shen Yun awaits you. So, you've been a great audience. May you live long and prosper, and for the experience of a lifetime, treat your body, mind, and soul to Shen Yun.